My name is Kisa Goncalves, and I will be doing my presentation on involuntary sterilization of women and children with disabilities in the U.S. So, involuntary sterilization refers to the process or act of being undertaken without the free and informed consent of the individual, such as when a person is forced or coerced into a sterilization procedure. This is just a video on North Carolina's sterilization program and how people that were deemed unfit were sterilized. North Carolina is also the first state to offer compensation for victims of state forced sterilization programs. You don't have to watch the whole thing, maybe just a few minutes of it. So, the term eugenics was first coined by Francis Galt in the late 1800s. However, the actual eugenics movement began in the 1900s in the US. The people that supported this movement fought to sterilize those with cognitive impairments. They believed that they could essentially cleanse the human population of unwanted genes, so they proposed involuntary sterilization. This movement became popular in the 1920s and 30s. Around that time, the American eugenics movement was founded along with many groups and societies that promoted this movement. There were actually many movies and books that promoted the eugenics principles. There's a film called The Black Stork, which was based on a true story. It's a movie about a doctor that is depicted as a hero after he kills a baby with syphilis. He convinced the parents that it was better for the child and society. So around that time, a famous case made headlines. It was the Buck v. Bell case. It involved a woman named Carrie Buck, who was claimed to be a woman of less than average intelligence. She was committed to a state mental institution of Virginia. A law allowed for the sexual sterilization of inmates of institutions in order to promote the health of the patient and the welfare of society. So before they went ahead with the procedure, they held a court hearing. The court ruled that involuntary sterilization of an intellectually disabled individual did not violate the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, and so shockingly enough, this ruling has never been overturned. However, there are now many statutes that do not permit eugenic sterilization. So this is just the aftermath of Buck v. Bell. So after the court ruling, this set a legal precedent, so many states began to enact the sterilization laws. It was reported that between 1920 and 1970, 60,000 people in the United States were involuntarily sterilized due to having a disability. So these are just some of the arguments for sterilization. So parents are scared that their child may become sexually assaulted and may become pregnant. There is also a concern that their child may engage in sexual activity without understanding that they may become pregnant, and they also want to eliminate menstrual periods, which makes it easier for the guardian to take care of the child. And these are some of the arguments against sterilization. So people believe sterilization is unconstitutional. They also argue that sterilization does not prevent sexual abuse of people of intellectual abilities. So they say that it actually just prevents pregnancy, but people with disabilities can still be sexually abused. And then as for menstrual hygiene, people argue that it is only a matter of convenience for the guardian. It is not in the individual's best interest. So this is just a little bit about the Human Rights Watch. So the Human Rights Watch is a nonprofit governmental organization that documents abuses against the world's most vulnerable population, and they seek to get justice for the victims. This organization has been fighting to see the recommendations for sterilizations to be reflected in policies, professional guidelines, and ethical standards. So these are just some of the Human Rights Watch recommendation for sterilization. So they say that children should never be sterilized, women should be fully aware of the sterilization process and that it cannot be undone, and women and children with disabilities should be included in the development and evaluation of sterilization laws. And this last slide is just talking about, does sterilization still happen today? So in 1981, there was the last legal forced sterilization in the US that was documented at least, eugenics is no longer accepted in the US. However, after doing some further research, I found out that in some parts of the world, sterilizing disabled women and children are still permitted, so they still practice it. And then this last slide is just my citation slide. So thanks for watching.